Ahoy there, mateys! Welcome aboard the Riff, Raff podcast. We are the pirates of the spicy waters. Come along with us and hoist the sail. We're navigating life through story and tale. We'll help you embrace the way you're wired, sharing laughs and lessons to get you inspired. If you join us, we will help you see there are a lot of ways to sail the spicy sea.
Okay. Good morning and welcome to Across the Desk. We are the Riff Raff podcast. We are not laughing today. At some point we hope to be. We are yeah. We have the Rainbow Pirate joining us today. Rainbow Cowboy Pirate.
Howdy.
Howdy R. So we're continuing our chat on communication, which is something, of course, I shouldn't say of course, you should never assume, but is frequent within the neurodivergent community and more specifically to the autism community, but definitely within ADHD as well, that communication can present some challenges. It can make some stuff. And we've covered some previous topics, and today we're kind of focusing on the perception within communication about alone versus lonely. And that's something that I know as a parent, I've struggled watching my son and trying to distinguish. So we're going to introduce the rest of the pirates and then we're going to jump in. So since Maddie's the most colorful today,
well, hello,
which I'm loving.
Yes. We're recording this during Pride Month, so I had to step up my game, right? So good morning, y'all. I'm Matt Endeavor, and I'm here to shake some neuro spicy booty.
Shake some neuro spicy booty. That's not a sentence that I ever thought we would hear, but hey.
Well, it's June.
And it's Maddie. So got the bases covered there.
More importantly.
Exactly.
How do I follow that?
Sure. But it's going to be you, not me. So.
That seems intentional.
You would be correct. I'd just like to add, yeah.
It's birthday month for our chief minion.
I gotta move it forward. Nobody's gonna. You can't see it. It's implied.
It disappeared.
Yeah.
I have a big head and a lot of hair. Ooh. Okay, that'll all make sense to everybody in a minute. Sydney.
Hi everyone. I'm Cindy Elaine Butler. I'm neurodivergent, and I'm happy to be on this podcast with everyone and just exploring different topics and just being our authentic selves, as you can see and hear if you're listening, and just creating a community where people feel safe.
Lovely. Well done. Paul, looking very, very brightly today.
I'm well, I have to keep my mic off because I accidentally started a 29-hour 3D print and the printer behind me is loud. So, well, off to my side is loud. So I will be muted unless I have something to say. Anyway, my name is Paul. I am also neurodivergent, and I'm the father of 4, and just trying to navigate this life. And I'm happy to be here and talk to you about all this stuff.
And today he's Thorny Santa because he's got wearing a shirt with lots of roses and his beard is just on point today.
Getting them all out. I love it. Okay. For those of you that are new to the Riff Raff podcast, there will be a high velocity of puns or pun adjacent conversation. So hi, my name is Elizabeth Plouffe, also neurodivergent. Took me a long time to be able to say that. And I am the mom of an autistic individual who's also ADHD and dyslexic. My husband's dyslexic. My daughter's going through testing for ADHD. Like a lot of parents, I didn't realize I was neurodivergent until my kids started going through testing. This actually will link as I say it out loud to the topic for today. I spent a lot of time growing up, which I think everybody can relate to, not quite fitting in, not feeling particularly lonely, but just always sort of on the wrong side of the boat. Like everybody else would get how to get through conversations, or they'd pick up certain things, and I'd just be my little unfiltered self. Imagine me 30 years ago with, no cell phone. Holly did want to crack.
Just imagine you and I as teenagers, completely
Oh
unfiltered.
man,
Oh, the damage we'd do, and the fun we'd have.
not wrong. Not wrong. And I would invite everybody. I think this just it's a little bit serious. So I had a birthday yesterday, and turned a certain age that kind of puts me closer to another decade than I would like to be. However, my viewpoint is my dad never got to reach the decade that I'm getting closer to, so I always have gratitude for birthdays, and I had a wonderful day. But as you get to certain levels in life, I think you have more realizations about what you've gone through. And if like me, you've had an interesting few decades with a lot of high stress point activities, then apparently that can also influence how you communicate and show up. I'm learning a whole bunch. There's just a whole bunch of knowledge coming out. And every time Maddie and I have a conversation, something comes out. Every time we do a podcast, I learn something from our team. Like, I feel very grateful. My crown is also pinching my head because I have an unusually large melon. So I'm sorry, but the crown is giving me a pressure headache. So from alone versus lonely, how would you define alone? We'll get to lonely, but how would you define alone? Silence. That's how you define it.
Last 20. I've been thinking about this last 20 minutes that I've been awake, 25 minutes.
Thank you, Your Highness.
You're welcome. You guys are important enough to wake up for.
I don't feel so lonely.
There you go. Well, okay, so I certainly experienced a lot of loneliness in my youth until my last 2 years of high school, where I finally had I finally found my people, and we hung out. We were music or music adjacent, drama or drama adjacent. We were the creatives that just we didn't fit in anywhere else, but we all fit together. Later on in my adult life, ping, 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 all of them popped up with some sort of neurodivergent diagnosis. And like, we had Autidar or ADHD that we didn't know, but like every single one of them, either LGBTQ or neurodivergent or both.
Which there's a high percentage.
So yeah, but before that, I led a very lonely childhood because I wanted to play, but I didn't know how to play, and I also had a lot of bullying, a lot, which made it very hard. Like, you want to connect, but you're afraid if you connect, the same thing will happen again. In my adult life, though, especially in the last 10 years. So when you have
you
kids,
also have a built-in tribe of folks that now, I was going to say, you now have a built-in tribe of folks.
Yeah. So in those last 10 years, having kids who are similar to you makes it harder to feel lonely. But I've now that I know who I am, I'm connecting a lot to people who are similar to me, who get me, and I get them. I'm not feeling it, but I definitely felt that from 18 to 40. Like, I like being alone. alone, where do I get my strength? Where do I recharge from? Having moments where I'm by myself. I've learned over the last 10 years as well. I can go to a movie theater by myself and enjoy it. I can go to a concert by myself and enjoy it. I can go to the beach and read a book on my iPad and with the wind flowing out against my head and enjoy it. I don't need other people to be me. However, when I need people, I know where they are.
That's cool. Okay. Sydney? Sorry, I'm going to think on that one. I'm going to write some notes. Keep going.
Yeah, I think like being alone is kind of like the physical state of being by yourself, whereas lonely is more like the emotional state. And so I think to Eddie's point, I think I like being alone and doing things by myself. I take myself out to dinner dates or lunches, or I've gone to concerts by myself and different things. But I don't like the act of feeling lonely. And I think that stems from childhood experiences and when I was in middle school and being bullied. And I think because when I was in middle school, I wanted a connection so much and was trying to connect with people. And I was in middle school when Facebook was just really becoming a big thing. And so I would want to connect with my peers and people that are a grade older than me. And I wanted connection so badly that I would be like, oh, you look so pretty in this picture, or like, and I would try to encourage other people, but I still felt very lonely. Or people would be like, oh, you're being so nice, or like, what is your ulterior motive for being so nice? And so end of the day, I had friends, but I still felt so lonely because I feel like the way I was communicating and expressing myself was seen as weird at the time. And so I think I've gotten more comfortable in my skin and I like being alone, but sometimes I do still feel lonely, late at night. And, sometimes the thoughts are racing and, I can feel lonely, but the act of being alone and doing things by myself, I enjoy. And so I think it's important to distinguish between the two and distinguish how they feel in your body and how they feel for you. Because I think we all experience it similarly, but also differently at the same time.
So interesting thought. When you were using compliments and I don't mean this in a bad way, but it's almost what you could call ingratiating behavior, right? Where you're complimenting folks and trying to find the positive and whatever. Was that something you saw and learned, or is this an internal? Because I know a lot of my son's attempts came through movies or shows, or he didn't necessarily pick it up from the people around him, ironically.
Is this where I take screenshots?
But
And
he would
post
try
them
and
to our
use stuff
chat?
that he saw
Yes, it
in
is.
movies or TV. Did you happen to see that somewhere, or that's just, oh, am I frozen? It could be.
Our fearless chief minion has gone a
I'm back.
little paused here, so we posed. Oh wait, she's back. All right.
I'm trying.
Hello, Max Headroom. How you doing, Max Headroom?
Hey.
Can you repeat that thought, Elizabeth?
Yeah, we got all that, but in
Yes.
another dimension. So in this dimension, can you try again?
Okay, so the act of complimenting or finding the positive in folks, did you find you saw that in like TVs and movies, picked it up from other folk? Was it just something that you internally thought was a good idea? Like, we know when folks are on the spectrum that picking up those types of things can be a challenge, but some of it, of course, is self-driven. So what would you say potentially
I think it was a mix of seeing other people doing it, but also internally. Like, I think I saw other people commenting on people's posts on Facebook, and I saw that they were having conversation or having connection. And so I was like, oh, if I comment, I can get connection and like, and talk to this person and make them. And so I think I picked it up from other people, but I don't know if the right word's intensity, but kind of the intensity of how I was doing it was through my own internal. So I think the initial behavior itself was copying what I saw from my peers doing, but the frequency or the reach or I feel like I also have to comment on things that people don't normally notice. And so
And I
to
think
be
that's where
like,
you start standing out, right? Is you pick up those little things. Yeah.
and people are like, how do you, like, how are you noticing this about me? Like, I'm like, I was talking to someone actually from middle school, and they're like, "You were always so nice," but just like sometimes we didn't understand why, or like you would see things in us that we didn't see about ourselves. And some people really like that. And some people are like, "That's you're weird." Like, how do you like? What do you stop that? You know?
I've never heard that directed at me many times over the course of my life.
And so there's also a platform it was called like Ask FM or something, and it's a dangerous tool. Like people can
Oh yeah.
anonymously ask
Oh
people
yeah.
questions, and that was a ground for a lot of bullying that I experienced in the cyberbullying.
Did you potentially see commenting and the what have you on Facebook and then try and apply that in real life? Because it's one thing for folks.
Yes,
And the reason I bring
I,
that, yeah,
mhm. Yeah. So for example, like a lot of people that were a year older than me, I would connect with on Facebook, and I would comment on their photos, and then I would try and say hi to them in the hallway. Like they would um acting like me, and so yeah, I think I did.
so it's navigating that because people can get very brave when they're behind a keyboard, and I can mean that both ways.
Yeah,
So
that's what
they can get
yeah.
very, yeah, they can get brave and have some big opinions and share some interesting, not very nice stuff online, but
Which
yet,
I got a lot of that because I was so nice. People like, why are you so nice? To like, I had the I people don't assume people have good intentions, and this is again in middle school, and so it and on that platform Ask a Family on Facebook, people are like, you need to like, and they could say it anonymously in the Ask FM platform, so they would speak their mind and say things that weren't the nicest because I was too nice.
but then you confront them in real life. There's nothing that, for the 99% of the time, there's nothing that I say online that I wouldn't say to somebody's face.
Me too.
So
Yeah. Me too.
I never go full jerk mode
Hmm.
online, because if it's not something I'm brave enough to say to your face, then, keep it to yourself. So I wonder
Which is why
if part of it,
which is why I hold my opinions on my real full opinions on Donald Trump to myself, because otherwise Secret Service.
just one of any
Exactly.
namaste. Namaste.
Yeah.
I had a lovely birthday yesterday, and I'm just going to look at my pretty flowers. Not going to think about that. Anyway, but
Sorry.
the same thing, no, it's all good. The same thing could apply to being nice, where some folk, there's somebody that volunteers with us, extremely uncomfortable with compliments. I have a friend of mine that she's like, I don't understand why people are being so nice about this. It wasn't a big deal. And I'm like, or you could just say thank you. So I wonder if
Just
that's
saying
part of it.
thank you is it can I think sometimes there's a fear of saying thank you.
I think that's a whole nother topic, because I think
Next week's
that,
podcast,
yeah, accepting compliments.
we'll talk about our P's and Q's, please and thank yous. There you go.
So Paul, what about you and alone versus lonely? What do you think the
Um,
difference could be?
the first thing I'm going to say is in response to what Cindy was talking about. I'm just thankful that I'm of a generation where I didn't have to. I learned a lot of social skills and interaction skills and things outside of social media. I didn't have to. Yeah, it wasn't part of.
Yes,
Yeah, Gen X. Let's go.
Gen X forever.
for
Represent.
Sydney.
Um, so
Sorry.
I really appreciate hearing that, because I don't think about that often. Not to say that social media and bullying and all that kind of stuff doesn't still have an effect, but a lot of things that you develop as a foundational part of your personality and DNA and the way you deal with things. I don't envy the current generation has to navigate it online.
Lots.
It's yeah, I can see could be very damaging. But I was an only child, so um, being alone was thrust upon me, I guess, and that imprinted on my DNA because um, I can remember when I met my wife and I went over to her house, like we got, we were very young when we met. She was 16, I was 19. And yeah, don't say nothing. It was a different time, okay?
Yeah, no, my story matches too. Okay, I get
But
it.
Okay,
but
keep going, Mr.
I
Bergman.
I remember going over to her house for the first time for dinner, and she's the youngest of six, and a very loud family. And
Would have been
so going over for dinner and
intense.
sitting at a table with, you know, six different conversations going on because they all had, friends or
Mhm.
you know, boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever, were over as well. And so to have like four or five conversations going on very loudly at a dinner table, um, Colleen said I looked like a deer in the headlights, just like I couldn't take it all in.
I can picture it because
So
I've seen that look on your face.
yeah, and this is, way pre knowing that I had any kind of neurodivergency going on. Um, but my brain was just telling me that I was in an unsafe place, even though it was safe. I had that same kind of reaction, like, and so alone time to me is really ingrained into me. But it's very, very different from being lonely. Um, and part of my ADHD is like this. What do they call it? Object permanence
Oh yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
huge for me, and so that like extends into my social circle as well. So it's funny. I say my best friend. We've been best friends since grade 5. But I could go 6, 7, 8 months without talking to them, and it's not that I don't think like I don't care about them. They just don't exist if they're not in front of me. And I love the fact that our friendship will just pick up right where we left off. Like there's no expectation of, oh, you didn't call me for 6 months, you're a jerk. So it's good to
Yeah,
have those kind of friends because uh, I don't have very many of those because of that. Because I don't. It's not that I don't invest in the friendship. It's that it just doesn't occur to me to do that.
yeah.
And so I have to,
Timelines too, though.
yeah. So I've found that I'll put in my calendar, like I'll schedule coffees with people in my calendar, way in advance, so that I don't fall into that. Right? If I want to maintain that kind of relationship, it's a task that I have to do because otherwise it'll just fall by the wayside until I'm like something will bring that person to my mind, and I'll be like, wow, it's been like that long since we've
In a minute.
talked. Yeah.
Yeah.
We need an
It's funny
app
because I have that with
called
family.
we need an app called Addy that we put in our friend's name or the person's name that we want, and it can schedule prompts to remind you to connect, saying, "Hey, you want to say hi to your friend Julio?" And like, "Oh yeah, Julio, sure." Click, boom, and the connection goes. It's like because I don't know. I've had two things told to me so much in my life. Um, like, why do we have to do all the work to keep a relationship going? Or you're too much. We need space.
Mm.
I wonder if that part of that is tracking. That's actually not okay. So all of that has just given me an idea. So that's bad. But like the other day, I was starting to get cranky because maintaining a relationship with somebody who I've been friends with for decades required Like if we were to go through looking at the text history, I'd say for the last 6-8 months has all been initiated by me. The phone calls have been initiated by me, everything. And they're also neurodivergent. We're discovering later in life. This is the real bugaboo with this alone versus lonely. So for me, I really enjoy my own time. And it's not that I think I'm great or anything, but I have a lot of activities. I read a lot. I have a lot of things I can do. I don't have to navigate anybody else's agenda. I don't have to remember to be, softer with some folks than other folks. Like all of those rules that I have to follow around being, like what Maddie said, too much for somebody. I don't have to do any of that. It's not exhausting to exist. And sometimes folks, to be honest with you, and figuring it out what it is, on a previous podcast, somebody asked, you wish you'd known earlier. And I've seen that in a couple of other things. And part of me is like, well, I mean, it is what it is. Like I can't undo the last 56 years of not knowing. Then I've gone 50 years without knowing why I was too much for other folks, why I needed more alone time than other people, why being alone triggered something in other people thinking I was lonely. I don't usually realize how much time I've had alone until somebody says, are you lonely? And I'd be like, no, like I just go find my people if I need to, because even though I forget they exist, I know they're out there somewhere. It's usually somebody, not intentionally, and I don't know if anybody else feels this way, but you get a little bit shamed about the alone time that you need. Shamed might be a strong word. I don't know, shamed, like it feels like other people are uncomfortable with my being comfortable being alone.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Okay, so I discovered in this last 10 years that it's like doing things on my own actually helps me do things with others later. Like, but I've been with people who cannot imagine going to a movie on their own, cannot imagine not doing stuff every day with like it's like the need for togetherness is so strong that it stifles those who need time alone, and you don't realize it till you step away from
it. And I made that face. And if you are somebody who is filled up, like we talk about spoons for energy and we talk about buckets and all that kind of thing. If being with other folk all the time fills you up and makes you happy, amazing. I love that for you. And I hope you have a tribe of folk that fill that for you. And it's a positive environment, whether it's online, whether it's in person, whether it's a blend, whatever that is. For me, I worked for Girl Guides of Canada for 4.5 years. And about a year and a half in, we had a fire in the building. And it happened to be my side of the building with the manager. It was our side that got destroyed. So we had to go upstairs. So I'm in one office at one end, Barb's in another office at the other end because she's the manager. She needs to have confidentiality and whatever. I was happier than a pig in a poop pile because I was upstairs on my own and whatever. And then we moved back downstairs and I ended up with a roommate again. And then that roommate had to take time off. They had injured themselves and whatever. And at one point, Barb comes over and she's like, so we're a little worried about you. And I'm like, why? And she says, well, you're all alone over here. I'm like,
and loving every minute of it.
I said, I really appreciate that, but I'm good. And if I need you, you'll notice that I walk over and have a little chin wag and check in with everybody. And then I come back to my nice, quiet, nobody here. No, I wonder if it's other people's discomfort.
Yeah.
Part of it.
I have a couple points to make based on what everyone has said. So first, with the friendship thing and maintaining friendships, I have a self-care to-do list that includes my alone time, but I also realize that I do need connection sometimes. And so for my friends that I put them to reach out to them on my, and kind of Elizabeth's point, like how you saw that you keep instigating the conversation. I put on my to-do list to reach out to my friends. And I have their specific name in different times of the month to just check in and maybe plan.
You created your own app.
I created my own app because I, as a solopreneur, and yes. I know I need my people when I need them, and I'm okay. I'm okay to reach out, and I am comfortable in that world being the one that usually reaches out to people. Like, people reach out to me too, but I'm usually the one that reaches out first. And I think my next point is when you were saying about how, I used to think I got my spoons from being around people, and this is pre-pandemic. And so when I was in school and when I was always out of the house, I was never home. And now I've been home so much because I mostly work from home and work remotely. I've been recognizing that even though I'm not, like right now I'm having this conversation with you all virtually, but I'm still interacting with people, right? So then it's been even more apparent to me that I also need my own alone time, and how do I recharge at the end of a day? Or like, I still live at home with my parents and my brother, and so we try to have dinner together if we're all home, and watch a TV show, but they also have shows that they watch. And like, I'm going upstairs, I need some alone time for myself, and then I have to talk to my partner later. And so really being comfortable with, and like just recognizing what I need in that moment. And sometimes they want to watch something that we normally all watch together, and I'm like, nope, I'm gonna go for a walk, or I'm gonna either take the dog for a walk, or just go walk with myself, or go to the store, or just go do something somewhere else by myself. That was a process to learn, because I feel guilty about it still sometimes. I'm like, I should hang out with my family because they're my family, but I'm like, no, I need alone time. Otherwise, to y'all, getting the point you made of that allows you to have better connections with people in the future. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I had a bit of a rough day at work, or and so I don't want to hang out with my family. I need time to recharge myself before I can interact with my family, so I don't intentionally maybe snap at them or just have it. And I just need to fill my own cup first.
One of the things that I've come to really know and love in these last 10 years as well, and it's also from watching my kids. We like to be present around people, but we don't feel the need to, like, being interactive isn't where we draw our energy and comfort, and not being lonely. It's it's just from being present. So one of the things that I've been really trying to teach and share to everybody that on all my presentations is that presence is connection. We don't need interactivity to get that, and it's something that's it's hard for some people, neurotypical people, and even it's like folks that are ADHD. Like there can be a huge difference between the needs of an ADHD person and the needs of an autistic person. And even different autistic people have different levels of need, but presence is it for many of us. When some people come over to visit, my kids may be in the room with the door open, and they're happy. They feel connected, because they're hearing things, they're seeing things. They may be uncomfortable in sitting in. And also, you go to my house, you can see five neurodivergent people on sofas with their phones, all happy doing things on their own, but together.
It's kind of like, it's interesting because the lack of parallel play, which is what I would consider that, was one of the indicators that my son, they came to me and they're like, so he doesn't keep playing with other kids. I'm like, is he playing beside the kids? Well, yeah. And I'm like, then he's good.
Yeah.
Like, even then I knew, because I would be totally fine building alongside somebody and not have to talk to you. And sometimes I'm in a car and I feel like I have to talk, but I really, like Sydney and I ran into this where we'd have these long pauses on the way home. And then I'd be like, is Sydney okay with the pause? Should I talk? Is Sydney okay with silence? And I think if I remember correctly. I did check in a couple of times going, quiet time, cat time, like where are we at? And because I would have been okay. And then we did have those pauses, didn't we? Or did I just keep talking? I could have just kept talking.
Well,
I think when we were going there was more talking, and then going back again, we were both exhausted, and there was the
yeah.
And I feel like it was mostly talking when we were going there, but when it's like
we had pauses.
I feel like you would say like quiet time, or like we would just. It was just kind of also understood, but just like don't die. But we would be.
That was good.
Think,
like it was just nice to have you in the car.
Mm-hmm. And I think we were both also receptive. Like if someone wanted to talk, like we were still aware of each other, and so like we could. Like, if I wanted to talk, you were able to respond, and then vice versa. And I think. I think it went well, and I think because
I think it's not knowing when to.
Yeah.
Well, that was next level. But I think it's balancing comfortableness of being with somebody can be, I'm what's considered an ambivert. So I can be extremely extroverted. And if I'm running an event or I'm at a workshop or I'm whatever, I'm very outgoing and with restraint. I try anyway. Sometimes that doesn't happen. But then I've also worked with folks, the idea of them, like they would not have survived the months I spent in my own office. They would have lost their nut, not hearing people or, whatever. Paul, is there, I thought you had a thought, and then I know you're navigating muting and what have you. I don't want to keep you from sharing a thought.
I did have a thought, but it's gone. I don't remember what I was going to say. Sorry.
Remember what it was
Paul's being the LARPing lurker today.
The LARPing pod.
Well, this is going to bring us back to something else. Something talked about. I don't remember who it was. Maybe it was Sydney saying going to restaurants or going to movies on your own. Was that Sydney or was that Maddie?
It was kind of both of us. So
both of us, yeah.
Okay, so that for me is very difficult. And that's more, I don't know if that's more of an anxiety thing or what, but I don't mind like eating by myself or watching a movie by myself. But if I have to go out into a social construct where it's apparent that it's not normal to be alone, I get a great deal of anxiety. Like I feel like people are watching me. I feel like, it's not, even though I wouldn't mind being there alone, it's the perception of people seeing you alone that I really struggle with. So if I was alone, I would avoid those situations.
I do get asked often when I'm out alone, are you waiting for somebody?
But then it's just a no.
And I say me, myself, and I.
Yeah. But I wonder,
I deflect with humor. Yeah, I deflect with humor, but I get that. Yeah.
I wonder,
I travel
Paul,
a lot for work at times, and I travel alone, and 99% of the time I will skip the dishes or something to my hotel versus go out and sit in a restaurant. For a lot of the time for that reason, because food is meant to be served like right out of the kitchen. So you get it back at your hotel. It's never as good as it would have been if you were sitting in the restaurant, but I'm okay to take that hit.
Yeah, but then it can be, I'm thinking about what you just said, and what popped out at me was, if the places that you wanted to go, and I don't mean this in any other way than how I mean it. If the places you wanted to go, like a restaurant or a movie or whatever, had no other people there and you were able to go, would it be okay then right? I have sat in a movie theater completely alone. Like, no, my kids were in the next theater watching something I didn't want to see. So I went and watched the new Star Trek movie, and lucky me, nobody else was in the theater. It was fantastic. It was one of those little, what do you call them? Film.cas or whatever they are, where they're like micro theaters. And that was fantastic. Had other people been in there, I would not have been quite as comfortable because again, now it's, and I'm not, it's going to sound weird. It's almost like your threat perception goes up when there's other people in the space because I don't know you. I don't know what you're capable of. I always try and assume good intention, but that's not been my experience. So now my threat detectors are up. And especially if for an example, I'm towards the middle of the theater and somebody sits behind me. Oh, the whole thing, it's like somebody's got a poker in my back. I can't sit. I fidget and everything else. Restaurant, same
You know,
thing. I always have to have my back to a wall. If I have to sit and my back is to the room, like
I'm like
I
that
can't
with
do it.
computers. I do not like being in an office where people can walk in behind me, and like I need to be able to see them come in. But interestingly enough, my issue with being with people at movies and dinner tables, I'm more worried about my experience with them than the people around me. My heightened sensitivity comes up when because what might they say? Will they see me stimming and make a comment? Or when in movies, are they going to talk through it and drive me insane?
Yeah. So
There's a few
sometimes the
people that I
activity,
like to, like Kat and I, we like to say little things to each other. We react and respond to things, and a little bit with Matlin too. My son Ashley, he asks me what's going on, why this happened, and poses a bunch of questions. And I said, Ashley, shh, just watch. And then they're like, and Matlin and I will also break into every song and everything. But beyond that, I've had issues. I've had issues with the people that are with me. So it's interesting. Like now that I've experienced time alone, I love it because the people around me aren't my issue. It's the people closest to me that have always been what I've had to look out for.
I'm wondering now, but I would love that Paul shared about that because if you're going out, this ties to what you're saying, Maddie. If you're going out alone, to try and fix, you know, whatever lonely, if it's not the right environment for you, then have you accidentally made it worse? And then like, cause I've tried that. During the pandemic, I had multiple conversations with folks and some, for an example, didn't have a support network in the house. You know, we all have family members that we were with for 2 years, in the best way possible. Um, I
One
did.
million days.
Yeah. You know what? I gotta say, out of the pandemic, I feel extremely grateful because we came out stronger as a family, I think. We enjoyed our time together. We divvied up chores. We did all of that and thankful to have had them around me because I never got lonely. And, getting alone time was going in the backyard or going for a walk, like all the things you were allowed to do. And then I stopped and thought about the folks who didn't have that, right? And what do you do when there's restrictions, whether it's a pandemic, whether it's sensory issues, whether it's social anxiety or whatever. And thank you, Paul, for sharing that. Like, we don't always see people's barriers who are alone and now feeling lonely, right? And
Yeah.
I wrote down alone limits, like something Sydney said about scheduling time with friends. And I know, Maddie, initially you were saying it in jest, but I think that's so smart because if we don't watch, I think everybody on here agrees we're all looking for connection at some point. We're all looking to be
Yeah.
with other people
Yeah.
in certain capacities. And I've done it before where I've said, I'm good, and I've spent too much time alone.
Mm-hmm.
Because the universe listens. If you say, I'm alone, I don't need people. As soon as you say, I don't need people, the universe is like, okay, I will help you with that. And then I do need social battery time. I'm a group thinker. I love, figuring out ideas with people. I love having chats about politics or what's going on or what. Like I called Cindy the other day, Maddie. And the first thing she starts with, she's like, what do you know?
Yeah.
And so I love those moments because I learn from people, and that's my love language. Learning is my love language, like either helping somebody else learn or me learn or whatever. And if I spend too much time alone, I get trapped in a confirmation bias of only learning about what I'm learning about. So what about that? What about boundaries on alone time? Has anybody looked at that? Or recognizing when alone has been too much and we're getting into like not great lonely?
I'm seeing that and needing to help my kids through that. I feel that okay. One of the interesting challenges I have when I'm sitting at this desk and I'm accessing my computer or I'm on my phone or on my iPad, I have access to 98% of the people that I'm social with. Another 1% are my family, especially my daughters. But when I'm out and about, I don't in where I live, I don't have anybody that I'm social with. Like I have no friends locally. I have my sister that lives in Ottawa. I have people that live other places. And it's a challenge for me because like I physically can't get into people's places. I can't go to people's homes and just, connect. There's just too many physical barriers for me. And
Context, Maddie, because folks might not realize you're in.
Oh yeah, I was
If
going
they've
to get there. Yeah,
Sorry.
I mean, so I had a car accident in the middle of COVID, 2020, yay, and I had emergency spinal surgery, so I use a motorized wheelchair to get around. So I'm great in chairs, but if I have to, where my chair goes, I can experience, but where my chair
I'm
doesn't
great.
go, I'm blocked, and for the most part, like during COVID, nobody went anywhere, so everything was online, and it was great. I didn't experience any loss because everybody was experiencing the same thing. But as things were opened up, and I was exploring more, the the blocks and limits. Like I can't even go to most restaurants in this town. I can't go into other than the Tim Hortons, like the big chains. I, I'm locked. I'm blocked from going in and experiencing the social in a lot of places. So, um, I I've had to just allow like I get enough, but every once in a while, like there's that wanting to be someplace that is my biggest challenge, and I have to really plan something to be able to, people have to connect with me as opposed to me going and connecting with them. The yeah, it's that's the challenge that I experienced. The layer,
And it's interesting.
the layer on top of the layer.
I see you as somebody who's so independent and so resilient and so like Maddie is a goer and they have multiple physical challenges and it's interesting because I've never seen it get in your way. And so your perspective there, because it wouldn't occur to me that you wouldn't make it happen. Like, and it's such a weird thing. And Maddie and we've spent a lot of time. They're coming out this weekend. So we've spent a lot of time together. I did get an eye opener. We were in Toronto. And of course I'm able-bodied, so I haven't had to navigate life, using any kind of assistive. And it was interesting to watch Maddie navigate and in not a good way because the level of folks that created additional barriers was not great. People using access to things that, not meant for, if your legs are working, you don't need to be using X, Y, and Z. And then Maddie wasn't able to access them. So for us to go and be social and have a meal together, that was the first time I had really understood how that could contribute to Alone and Lonely. I say, I see you going everywhere. So I forget how hard that can be. So I really appreciate you sharing that.
I'm very thankful that the work I'm doing gets me out of my town often, because I do get these jaunts where I'm on the train, so there's people around. I am connected, and I get to go to big downtowns like Toronto or Burlington, and but I like the hustle and bustle of people as long as they're not bumping into my wheelchair. And I get more like my town sucks for accessibility, but I have more things open and available to me when I'm in cities. But I'm very thankful that I have all of these these online communities, these real friendships. Like I can send a text to somebody and they'll say, "Hey, want to chat?" Like I have the vast majority of my connection needs are met, but I do feel them every once in a while. I don't pursue the physical as much because I can't. I've come to accept it, but every once in a while, like I'm tearing up as I'm talking about all this. Every once in a while, I realize there's something more that I need that I've just I've just accepted that I can't do, but I don't like it.
And that's completely valid. And that's, I think we start to think that the person's okay with it because they appear to be okay with it. And we forget that they've had to give something up. And we forget what that can look like. And I wrote down online to overcome lonely because one of the things within the neurodivergent community, and this would be more specific, I think. I was waiting.
Let's take a break.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Time to dance and move. Dun, 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 dun. Paul loves this time. Loves the 10
Okay, so
a.m.
if we ever put this on video and you're watching, if you want to color balance, you look at the white of the beard and the red of his face as 10 o'clock goes on. It's his own social battery level.
Loves it. Paul loves it. Loves it. Anyway, so online to
we need
overcome.
moments like this when we have discussions like this. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I went from
Totally
crying
agree.
to crying of laughter.
As long as you don't pass out, we're good to go.
It was almost 30 minutes ago, but hey, we're good.
We're good. So online to overcome lonely. I would love everybody's so both Paul and Maddie and myself have neurodivergent kids, and then we have Sydney. And the only reason I'm making this differentiator is that at the very beginning we were joking about no. So I'm not trying to poke.
No, I
so
just
hang
saw
on.
Sydney's face. That's all. It was watching
What was
Sydney's
Sydney's
face. Yeah, that. It's like
what? But that Paul made a really valid point that Gen X, we were raised very differently. Online
Yes.
was not available to connect. And then as online became more available, so for Sydney, you've never known anything but the availability of the internet or cell phones or whatever,
Mhm.
right? Right. My generation, I can still remember in grade 7, Mr. Anthony's art class at Eastview Public School in Oakville, Ontario, 1981, whatever it was, 82. The first Commodore 64 computer coming in with a dot matrix printer. And that was Paul's face. It's just like, oh my giddy aunt. And it was a big freaking deal, folks. Computers, that was a huge thing.
Yeah.
There was no way to connect online.
Yeah. In 81. For it was either my 5th birthday or the Christmas after I turned 5. My parents got me a VIC 20. and that was the Commodore VIC-20, which is the precursor to the 64. But I loved it. And my mom taught me
We can
basic.
nerd out about computers.
I know, but it's like, okay, interesting thing. I know our generation didn't have the internet, but I was raised different. My parents were at the bleeding edge of technology, and when I was 12, I had my own first. I had the IBM XT, and I started connecting to bulletin board systems, which was the precursor to the internet. So from 12 years onwards, I found a community of people online, which is why I think I understand my kids so much more. I was a geek. I was never a
Really?
nerd, just a big capital
Shocked faces. Just take a minute.
GEEEEEEK. What? Shocked faces? I know.
But we didn't have that. So anybody who would be classified as the weird kids, back in the day, I see the Bourne's dork side, yes. Anybody who would be, I have a shirt that says that. Come over to the dark side. We have cookies. Those kids couldn't connect. And you would watch them, and I'm being serious for a second. You would watch them walk around the school, and you knew they had no friends, and you knew they were lonely. I know. But Sydney's face is going, but were they? I guess in reflection, societal expectation at the time dictated they were. But I just wonder, what were they missing by not being able to connect online? If connecting person to circle back to the very beginning where we talked about learning from Facebook and different activities that we could, or different actions we could take to connect with folks, the assumption is that being alone meant you were lonely, which we know are exclusive and mutually exclusive. But I would say some of the kids, just based on what I remember seeing and whatever, were lonely. And what difference could online have made? I really struggle, and I know it's valid and I know it's valued and I don't diminish it, and I'm glad everybody's got it. I struggle with the balance of online connection to in-person connection, and how do we support that?
Yeah.
So Sydney, there was a strong reaction. Poor Paul has had thoughts, and I've seen them have thoughts, and then is there a thought,
I'm
Paul?
good. He's
I'm good.
I just don't want you to, I feel like you get something, and then we
we need a facial gesture that we know for sure means, oh, dang, but dear, let me in.
Yes.
I mean, you can raise your hand.
Something,
because
hand sign.
Elizabeth and I have a tendency of doing them wow, like, and I was like, oh, breathe, other people.
But Sydney, you had a strong reaction when I said we think they were lonely. So go.
No, it just went away.
Gone away.
But I think at one point I wanted to make, I was online and like Facebook, and we had Messenger and things like that when I was growing up, when I was a teenager.
Yahoo AIM.
But I didn't get a cell phone until high school. And I say this because a lot of people, like, I felt disconnected because I didn't have a cell phone. Even though I was still talking to people online and communicating, that was another layer of not having that cell phone in middle school that I felt alienated about and for. And so, and I think, just to another point, I think so many times our perceptions or our feelings about loneliness and being alone, and based on what everyone said, is around other people's perceptions and how people are going to perceive us, and how they, and so I think with that, it's really, how do we become comfortable enough in our skins to feel comfortable being alone, and to know what we need, and having that drive our connection desires or our desire to be alone.
And I wonder if it's also, I don't want to cut Paul off, but Paul is printing a 29-hour thing, so I muted Paul. Paul, is there something you wanted to add to that? I feel like poor Paul, no, Paul's still, it's like, I'm good.
Remember,
Uh,
remember, Elizabeth, presence is connection.
right, but we're on a podcast, which requires some
Okay,
vocalization.
yes, but it doesn't have to be a podcast.
It's been
It's
an
right
us
now. It's a
cast, and
die
I feel like
cast for Paul.
Paul's an outcast. I don't want that. I want to be inclusive. And Paul, one of the reasons, folks, we ended up, just for context, having all four of us on is that all four of us bring very distinct experiences, both as individuals growing up, like Paul and I not knowing we were neurodivergent and struggling in a variety of ways. And then, some folks were diagnosed very young with one thing and discovered something else later on. Everybody has been navigating the complexity of how they show up in the world. And so everybody brings a valid thing. Both Paul and Maddie are parents of multiple kids. I did my duty. I have two kids, but it's very different when it's four kids. And I mean that sincerely. Like you're navigating, and all four are neurodivergent in both cases. That adds a whole nother layer of complexity that I can't speak to that, right? So one of the reasons that we do all of this, we also bring different backgrounds in what we do for our businesses, right? So Sydney's focus is on accessibility and HR practices and making workplaces inclusive. And, they're a very active speaker in that space. Maddie focuses on, families and the healthcare system and building advocacy within that and training individuals. Paul focuses on inclusive learning design and e-learning development and video creation. So all of us bring, I don't do anything. So all of us bring something.
You do lots of things.
Do nothing.
You poke at things and make small fires into big sparks.
That's true. In more ways than one. We were having a conversation on yesterday, about a situation, and I have a planned response to this situation. Paul says, "Way to be passive aggressive."
He said out loud what we were all thinking.
I'm not going to be passive about it, though. No, not at all. No. I'm not going to be passive about it. I'm going to be very aggressive about it. I'm just not going to call the person out who I am having some strong feelings about. So from alone versus, I go back to having just had a birthday. I went through a whole bunch of pictures, and every picture that I found of me little, I have a memory attached to. It's one of the advantages of my weird head is I have a ton of memory space. And I remember doing weird little experiments in my room with like empty bottles and milk and seeing how it would curdle and could I make my own cheese because I was very into Little House on the Prairie. And I'm like, I could make butter. I could, do whatever. Just FYI, don't try and make cheese in your bedroom. It doesn't work out. And then your parents get very upset because it stinks. And then I would go out and I would watch something on Little House on the Prairie again or whatever. And I would go out and grab red berries from one of the bushes in our yard and try and paint with them. And I didn't do that stuff with other people because I knew what would happen. I have one weird friend and we've been friends for 45 years. And I mean, I don't know if she would have done that weird stuff with me. I had a group of friends that I still have some of them to this day. Part of that is because after 30, 40 plus years, I was able to accept that I wasn't too much for them. And I still struggle with that in some instances where we've been friends for 45 years, but are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? Sometimes I can be a lot. Are you sure? Or I'll forget, like Paul said, I'll forget to reach out, or I'll forget a birthday, or I'm horrible for forgetting birthdays. Now, like Sydney put a whole bunch of reminders in for different things so that people don't give up on me. Right. And also
It's
for
me,
context,
Addie. It's me, Addie. Here, I'm telling you, your friend's birthday is tomorrow. Go buy a present or just send a message. Would you like to send a message now? Beep.
if that voice came up, it would.
Remember Clippy?
Oh my God, yes. That was
Oh,
that little
yeah.
post-it note that used to pop.
Exactly.
Wanted to kill
Yeah.
that thing.
The 2026 version of Addie for the people that
No,
really, need
no.
a different kind of connection.
So that last point actually brings me to a little plug. So one of the things that we recognized a few years ago, Maddie and I, was the lack of safe, and there's a few other adjectives. So team, I will invite you to figure out some adjectives.
Neuro-inclusive.
But
More than
the
that.
word professional comes up, but that's not the right word. Like, so something that's professional, but not professional. So anyway, it's called Nimble ND Connect. We recognized that folks were connecting online, but we were also recognizing, much like Sydney shared, much like Maddie shared, there was bullying going on, or people's not so great agendas, or all these other things. And we went, okay, like, four smart people, we all own our own businesses. Like, we do some good shit in the world. We can do better. So we created Nimble ND Connect. We meet up once a month online through Google Meet right now. And each month, based on the previous month's conversation, we pick a topic. And we're really lucky. Our participants come on and share a whole bunch of stuff. Sydney is our chief topic gatherer. And then we use that to influence. Uh-oh. Did I embarrass Sydney? They just disappeared. There they are.
Hello.
She's it. We use that to then influence the next topic, because one of the biggest things you'll have heard us talk about is freaking me out. What is happening, Sydney?
It needs a lunch.
I'm done with you people. I need alone time.
Microdosing alone time.
Together, alone. Together, alone. Together, alone.
Found
Together,
one.
alone.
You poke the fire, Paul. I'm just saying.
One, I can deal with one of those today. 10 a.m. one.
And we're up. Otherwise,
Not a
Paul's going to
theater
have
kid.
a motor. Oh, you are on with 3 theaters. Sorry about your luck.
I
You did not.
understand.
You did not choose your drive well. There was no screening for theater. Having said that, Paul and I spent an enjoyable drive listening to a variety of musicals, and I sang, which you probably don't want me to do, but it was awesome. It was one of the best
Think
car
of the
rides I've ever
singing
had.
and dancing and extrapolating.
I didn't
And
dance.
I think
I was driving.
Exactly. Well, there you go.
I mean, I did like a little, booty shimmy. So
Yeah, don't
Nimble
dance
ND
and
Connect
drive.
was specifically designed to be with, not for. And what we mean by that is it is built with the neurodivergent community. It is built with neurodivergent influence around topics. We are very open at the very beginning how people want to connect while they're there. If you want camera off, if you want to use the chat, if you want to fully engage with microphone and camera, how you are choosing to show up is absolutely your choice. We are very focused on safety and very focused on an open conversation so that people can come in, whether they want to limit their alone time but aren't ready to be face to face in a noisy restaurant or whatever. And then if you're feeling lonely, if you end up in a situation, and this is not a dating site, it's not a whatever. I've seen it in my face to face groups where folks then self organize and meet in person. It's all adults. I've just watched some really cool stuff happen. I'm really proud of us. And when you look at alone versus lonely, to Sydney's reaction, seeing somebody alone doesn't mean they're lonely. Seeing somebody navigate the world a certain way, you're looking at it through your bias of being social and what you're comfortable with and what you'd prefer. I used that lens on my son, thinking that I was doing him a disservice by not, forcing friendships and all that other kind of stuff. And then I realized he was completely happy. He had us. He had, he had that time for being social, either through nursery school or through school or Cubs or skating or whatever. What I need to be social is not what he needs. My view of alone versus lonely, not the same lens that he views the world through. So if you see somebody enjoying their time in a restaurant, asking them if somebody's joining them, that's just normal restaurant behavior. Constantly harassing them about being alone or making a smart ass comment, you just keep that shit to yourself. Like, don't poke the bear. If you need help in connecting, if you are struggling with alone versus lonely and those boundaries, I hope some of the things we've shared, give you some ideas. I loved Sydney's suggestion. I mean, I know it started with Maddie's app and we were being a bit facetious, but Sydney, you put it into practice. Do you find that also helps with decision fatigue and that little bit of shaming cycle and whatever as well?
Yes, I think even like when it comes to the broader, like the self-care to-do list in general, it reduces that decision fatigue. And it's like, okay, this is like, even like regarding decision fatigue, like for my workouts, I alternate between workout, yoga, and Tai Chi. And so that's also all in there as well.
You do Tai Chi together.
But I think, and I also intentionally, for going back to the connection piece, I think I set different friends for different like days of the month. And so kind of, and I think at first I found it's like, I felt kind of guilty. It's like, oh, they're probably like the same kind of the same time of the month, the same, but it's worked well. And I think it also, it's like, okay, I can connect with this friend this one day, connect with the other friend this other day, and spreading it out.
So that you guard your time to be alone is important as well.
Exactly.
Cool. Paul, was there a deep thought there?
No.
All right. No deep thoughts for Paul.
No deep thoughts for me.
Just 3D breathing,
What? That one didn't work. So for context, folks, we vote.
Breathing. There you go. 3 deep breathing.
Okay.
That's what I meant to say.
We periodically vote on whether Maddie's puns have worked or not. Oh, caffeine, low in caffeine. Got it. That's the universal symbol. So this is for caffeine. Paul, we're going to teach to raise his hand when he's got something to say and he's on mute because he's printing. Sydney's good.
Facial expressions.
Everything's good. I mean, it's one thing we all have in common is that most of the stuff that we think shows up on our face, whether you like it or not. So if you're just listening and not watching, you're missing a treat.
I just want to say that there's at least 8 puns in our chat that I have not shared. I've been a good little person here. Yay.
You're being a good little pirate cowboy.
Little rainbow pirate cowboy. Well done. You. So I hope there's is there any final thoughts from anybody before we wrap up?
I'm good.
Just maybe that it's okay to be lonely and admit that to somebody, because it can, if you don't search it out, it's not going to, community's not going to search for you, right? You have to search it out, and whether that's something that you have interest in, finding that third space, right? What was that?
Sorry. I was dancing while you weren't looking. But sir, I was thinking about the third space thing. Keep going, because that was really important.
I lost it.
Paul brought this concept up a couple of months ago, and it's been in the back of my head ever since. And I love it. And this so if you were to give context to third space, Paul, just to round out that thread, because it's a really important concept, and I will behave.
I think I mentioned it before, that like we all have a home life that has a certain dynamic, whether we are, uh, pardon the vernacular, but like a parent unit or a head of a household where people come to us and look to us, and there's a certain hierarchy, right? Whether you're a child in a home, there's a hierarchy. It's just the way it works, right? And then you go to work, and work has a hierarchy. You have a boss, or you are a boss, or there's just a way things operate, and it's but everybody needs that third place that they can go to. Some people join a bowling league. Some people uh, unhealthily go to a bar every night but that's the third place where everybody is kind of an equal, and it's strictly social. It's not some people go to church, right? Those
Community is
third
community.
places are yeah, it's searching out community and making sure you have that. It's a very healthy thing to have. um yeah, that's
That's what this podcast is.
It is. Just to add on the tail end of there, because with our Nimble ND Connect, that is our online way for folks to come and join. Then, if you happen to be in Halton Region, Nimble ND is a broader not-for-profit model, and like tonight is board games night, no electronics. We have anywhere from 5 to 20 people come out twice a month. It is strictly board games. We have about 30 board games. It's at Tech Place, which is on New Street in the new Bateman Community Center. Every other Thursday is Job Lab, and that is for folks who are looking for a job support, getting ready for an interview, whatever that is. We also have neurodivergent led Dungeons and Dragons groups. We're starting a new one. I'm going to be talking to Jacob
We should
tonight.
call it ND and ND.
isn't isn't all
There was a
isn't
shirt.
all D&D neurodivergent.
We can't make assumptions, but yes.
Sorry, it's my
Uh,
Gen Xer coming out.
yeah, I mean, without saying yes, it's yes. Having said that, you can be neurotypical and come out, please do, for the D&D, but it is neurodivergent led. All of the programs that are face to face are also peer led, peer driven. So I am there, but I go into an office and work because I want everybody that walks in that door. When you're coming in, I want you to know that we believe you're capable. We believe you're competent. We believe you do not need micromanagement. And I try very hard. I am there just in case anything happens. So far, knock on wood, I think we've had one incident. So that's another thing. If you're struggling, if you like being alone, that's super cool. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. I have liked being alone since being a very young kid. I have been totally fine with that. Society might have an issue with it. That's a them problem, not a you problem. Please remember that being alone is something that needs a little bit of attention, because if you are always alone, when you get lonely, there's nobody to turn to. So whether online works for you, whether your battery gets recharged with people once or twice a month, and if that's all it takes, folks, that's freaking awesome. We're not telling you that there's any time spend that you have to do in order to cure if you're feeling lonely. If once a month gives you enough, that's amazing. If every day there's something that you need, okay, that's going to need some time investment and management. But just like being autistic, just like being ADHD, just like being any type of neurodivergent, if you've met one person, no, in all seriousness, if you've met one person that handles being alone, it's one person. What?
It's the chat. Read the chat. Just read the chat.
Reading the damn chat, because then I'm going to get distracted and I'm trying to wrap up.
There's a letter of the alphabet that somebody needs to use.
Which is what? Shut up.
That's not a letter.
No?
This means bathroom.
Oh, yeah, no, I have to pee too. So we're wrapping up.
All right, then. And on that note, go to nimble.ca if you're at nimblend.ca if you are interested in any of the Nimble stuff.
This is
Elizabeth Blue from Spiro, Canada, one of your pirates on the Riff Raff podcast team. My fellow pirates include Maddie Dever from Autistic Bridge, Sydney Elaine Butler from Accessible Creates, and Paul Coleman from Creation Designs, who is our very own Arctic LARPing Santa. Thank you for joining us on the Neurospicy Seas, and we wish fair winds to you all.